reason why it's so important to use intros, outros, and end screens is because this is branding. This is branding your business. This is marketing right inside your video. So even though it's not something that you think about that you need to do, an intro and an outro, if you think of any television show, they have an intro, correct? There's something that always brings you into the show, the same exact intro, the same music, right? You get used to it. You actually know the music, and that music triggers the show in your brain. So this is the exact same thing for your YouTube videos. Intros and outros are the exact same thing as an intro outro for a television show. So that's why you want to use those. Now an end screen, that is completely different, and we're going to go through that. So I am going to get started. Hi, Sheila. Welcome. Great to see you. Say hi to Chris. Welcome. Okay, so I am using my phone app again as my clicker. And, oh, wait, let me just go back for a second. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about intros, outros, and end screens. If you just showed up, thank you for coming. I'm Sheri Barbera. And YouTube Bootcamp is all about video marketing, strategy, and branding for small business people, owners, professionals, and creatives. And if you are not sure how to use YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so that you get notified every time we post a new video. It's all about YouTube. It's all about video making. It's all about software and editing and social media. And I am Sheri Barbera. I'm a Google certified YouTube channel growth expert. And that was a really difficult thing to achieve. So now we are going to talk about intros, outros, and end screens. So what is exactly an intro and an outro? And if you just showed up, thank you for coming. Intros are visuals. And generally speaking, for YouTube videos, there's some kind of animated or some kind of montage that says something about your business. This is how you start branding yourself. That's what an intro is. It's an exciting way to get people interested in your video. Think about television shows, because that's exactly what a television show does. What is an outro? Same exact thing. The show's over, there's something at the end, and generally speaking, it's always the same ending. Sometimes it might be a little bit different, and that's perfectly fine. But the intro, super important that you try to keep it the same always. Maybe at the end of a year or at the end of 2 years, you want to change it a little tiny bit. But again, think about television shows that you know and love. Thank you, honey. Sal just brought me water. Think about all the television shows that you know and love and how you remember the music. Like, let's talk about the Brady Bunch. Isn't that a perfect example of branding and marketing and catchy tune, my God, to open a show? I mean, everybody who saw the Brady Bunch remembers that wonderful opening and that great song. You want to start and end your videos with branding. And this is exactly what anyone does on television. And think of yourself as your own TV network, because that's what you are. That's what everybody does that is trying to get people who watch the show to remember it. So Law and Order, right? You start Law and Order and what do you hear? Ba-boom. That like ba-boom song, right? So who's here?
Jeremy and Tish.
Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. Hi, Jeremy and Tish. More masterminds. Welcome. So great to see you guys. Thank you for showing up. Okay, so one of the things that you want to do with your intro and your outro is to keep it short and simple, something that people remember. And when I say short and simple, that really is something that varies tremendously in YouTube videos I've seen. And short can be something as short as 2 seconds. It can also be as short as 20 seconds, which is kind of pretty long. So you're going to see what I mean by that. You want to incorporate branded visuals. And what I mean by branded visuals are your logo. So what is your logo? What are the colors of your logo? What is your tagline? If you have a tagline, you want to incorporate the tagline into that as well. And your music. And this is a place where if you can get someone to write music for you that's for your intro specifically, like go to Fiverr, hire someone on Fiverr, or do you know someone who might be willing to write music just for you? This is something that people will remember. And the reason I say that is, again, going back to television shows, how many of you think of a TV show and you think of the theme song from the show? Almost everybody does that. So think of your channel the same way and use some kind of music that always will make people think, as soon as they hear it, of your channel. Animation is something that definitely improves an intro. And if you're not going to be doing a montage of the different things so an intro is a little bit like a trailer in the sense that it should show a lot of the bits and pieces of what your videos are generally about. And if, for example, your videos are all about photography, then your intro should show you taking photographs. It should show close-ups of your camera. It should show photos that you've taken. It should be representative of who you are and what your channel's about. So that's what your intro is. Plus, it should have hopefully whatever your logo is, hopefully whatever your tagline is, and then some great music. So any questions about that before I keep going? Because there's a lot here, and I, believe it or not, I have like 105 slides for you guys. So are there any questions about that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat and Sal will tell me. So where do you place intros and outros? You'd think you would place an intro at the introduction, like the beginning of your videos, but you don't. Actually, what you want to do at the beginning of your videos is have an opening. And what I mean by an opening is, let's say that you've just shown up and you're clicking this video and it's the first time you're going to look at it, and the title of the video is Branding and Marketing Your Videos with Intros, Outros, and End Screens. So that's the title. Okay, now those are all keywords to this video, right? That's the first thing. These are all keywords. So
this is a little early, but
Sal has his hand up. Yes.
Dale, well, this is Dale's hand.
Okay.
Dale wants to know how long an intro and outro has to be.
Okay, so Dale's asking, how long should an intro and an outro be? Generally speaking, as you know what I always say about videos, a video should be as long as it takes to get your point across. This is true of an intro and an outro as well. Your intro, but in seconds. We're talking seconds. So if you can make an intro that's extremely dynamic in 5 seconds, that's fine. If your intro requires 15 or 20 seconds to get across the point of what you're doing, that's fine too, because you're not putting it at the beginning of your video. At the beginning of your video, you're putting your opening. That's what this is. This is the opening to your video. And what I mean by opening is what I was just telling you. The opening to your video is, so the title of your video, you want to reinforce that, use all those keywords that you just put in the title, not only in the description below your video, because there you're reinforcing with keywords, but also in your opening. Okay, so here's an opening. Hi guys, I'm Sheri Barbera and this is YouTube Bootcamp. Today we're going to be talking about intros, outros, and end screens. Let's do it. Okay, now that was an opening. What should happen next?
Intro.
So what I did with my opening was I either posed a question or I made a statement. I particularly in this just made a statement. I just said, we're going to be talking about. But what if I said to you, hey, what do you know about intros, outros, and end screens? Let's find out what they do. Okay. And that would be another way I think I just spit at the camera. I'm so sorry if any of you saw that.
Spitting at the
I know.
camera.
So that's another way that you can get people interested is by posing a question instead of making a statement before the actual intro happens. You want to give viewers an idea of what it is that you're going to be talking about so that you hook them. That's the word, hook. You hook them in the first 7 seconds. And the reason it's 7 seconds is because that's all the little fishies are willing to give us today is 7 seconds before they click away. Sal has his hand up. Yes, Sal?
This is David from Emotional Buffination.
Okay, David, what is your question? Sal's going to tell
Do
me.
the questions have to be relevant to YouTube or intros/outros?
Okay, so David's question is, do the questions have to be relevant to YouTube or intros, outros? The answer to that is, if you pose a question as your opening of your video, the question is relevant specifically to the title of your video. The title of this video would be Branding and Marketing with Intros and Outros and End Screens for Your YouTube Videos. My question would be,
No, David said he was kidding.
what do you know about intros, outros, and end screens and how they help you brand? Let's find out. So that is the question instead of posing a statement. Okay, anybody else? David was kidding. You're funny, David. Okay. So we are going to see what an intro looks like by a lady named Joni Simon. She's a YouTuber and a food photographer, and you're going to love the name of her channel when you see it. So here we go. I hope you can hear her. Oh, heck, I think I went too far. Okay. I'm going to turn my sound up. Oh boy, I don't think you can hear her very well.
Hold on, I got it.
I hope you can hear this.
This is where I do food photography, and the goal here is to grow your food photography skills so that you can feel confident behind the camera.
So that was Joni Simon, and her channel's called The Bite Shot. And I hope everybody heard her, because I might just replay that because I think the sound will be better now.
So I remember looking at one of my images at one point and thinking, it just feels flat. Like when I look at a great food picture, it makes me want to reach in and grab it, right? It's 3D, it's got depth. So what am I missing? Well, the key to it is all in the lights, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
So this is the intro part. That was it, 6 seconds.
I'm Joni Simon. Welcome to my studio. This is where I do food photography, and the goal here is to grow your food photography skills so that you can feel confident behind the camera.
So what she did was she gave you an opening, which was basically the title of the video, which was all about lighting. So the video is going to be all about lighting. And she said, you know, one of the things that's so important about looking at food that makes you want to reach in and grab it is that the lighting is good and really shows the food. So that was her opening. Then it went right into the intro. The intro was only 6 seconds, and it was great. You know, it was the name of her channel, The Bite. I can't remember what it's called. The Bite Shop. And then it went right into showing her. It went into food, but we know that now she's photographing food. Okay, so what does the outro do? Well, an outro can summarize what the video is about. The outro can simply just be the name of your channel again. The outro can be the exact same thing as your intro. You literally can just use it in both places in your video. So again, it just reinforces the branding of your video. So really, it can literally just be the same thing. Or it can be a summary of what was happening in the video. But this is sort of something that you can do as a closing. So you have your opening, which is where you talk about what's going to happen in the video. Then you can have your closing, which is you sum up what just happened in the video. And you can also tease about what's happening in the video that's coming up, because you already know what video you're going to be posting next. So you can say at the end of your video, and next week we're going to be doing XYZ, or in my next video, or in the next one of the series, I'm going to be showing you XYZ. Okay, this is her outro.
Tonal variety. Now, if you want to watch more videos about lighting, I've got a playlist right up over here, but be sure to come back next week because we are going to play with metal and how we deal with managing reflections off of metal. And if your brain's saying, oh my gosh, that means silverware, then yes, all get excited. So thanks so much for stopping by. You stay out of trouble. I'll see you next week. Okay? Bye.
Oh.
This is still her outro. So in her outro, she takes what she showed through the whole video, which is how do you light this particular food item? And she shows you all of the steps in the video as to how she does it. And then at the very end of her video, she has her little tagline that she says about bacon, something about, making bacon. And then she shows you exactly what her equipment was that she used in the entire video. So super helpful. And this is something you can also think about. If you're showing something and you are a creative like she is, so she's a photographer, but if you're an artist and you're showing people how to paint, you could show all your paints, you could show your brushes, you could show your studio. Just think in terms of how can you make it even more valuable for your viewers, because that's what this intro, outro is all about. So 5 to 20 seconds, Dale, is ideal. If you want to know what really is perfect right now, because this, again, it's so funny on YouTube, things change constantly. And it used to be that you could have this super long intro. I mean, long, like a trailer, like you could do a 1 to 2 minute long intro. And then people went crazy because so many people were coming on YouTube and they were like, no, we can't sit and watch this long thing. So then it got cut in half to 30 seconds, and then that was too long, and then that got cut in half to 15 seconds, and then people were like, no, we just don't want to watch this. So it went down to like 2 to 5 seconds. And now it's been creeping back up again, where it's back up to about 20 seconds. And that seems to be sort of a good place to be able to do a lot of information in a short amount of time. So here's another one.
Oh, Laura's got to go. Say goodbye to Laura.
Bye, Laura. Thanks for showing up.
Hello, and welcome to Ask Me Anything About YouTube. I'm Sheri Barbera.
I'm Sheri Barbera.
And today we're going to be talking about, can I make money on YouTube right now?
So that was our opening to one of our Ask Me Anything videos. And then our intro is just a tiny bit more. It's like 2 seconds and 16/100ths of a second long. And that's all it is. And literally now, after I just watched this week so many intros and outros, I think I'm going to actually make it longer, because it's fine to make it longer. I like it like this, but I think it's fine now to make it longer. So I want to show you, how does this actually look in editing? Because this is all about editing, right? So what I'm showing you here is, here's the timeline, right? We all know what the timeline is from last week. And there we are in the viewer. That's our viewer. So we see everything that's been put on the timeline up in the viewer. And then over here is the media. This is where all the media is kept. Okay. So again, media, viewer, timeline. And this is what it looks like if you couldn't really see it, this is what it looks like, media, viewer, timeline. So you pull your media down on top or below your timeline or into your timeline. And that's how you make your opening. That's where you put your intro. And what I'm showing you here is, see this 2-second intro? The reason I'm showing that to you is because I put it right on the timeline. Now, how could I do that? There it is, right there. So that's the intro directly on the timeline. And the reason I can do that is because I previously made it in Final Cut, created the whole thing in Final Cut, exported it into a video of its own, and now as its own video, I can just pop it into every video I make. Super simple, very fast. This is how you speed up your production. So you want a template. And this is a template. Our Ask Me Anything videos are a template. And the way it works is the very beginning of the video, which is right there. At the very beginning of the video, we always have an introduction. It's an opening that tells you what the video is about and who we are. And that's the opening. So every time we make a video, we always know that we're going to start by talking about who we are and what the video is about. And then I cut that, and you can see that it's been cut. This is where it's cut. That is literally a cut. And then I insert the pre-made video of the intro. And this is how in editing you start to build your video. You build it by creating things that you can use as templates. You can use them over and over and over again. We use the same background. We always film ourselves in front of a green screen so that we can what's called key ourselves out. And you can see that when we're filming, here we are in green, right? We're against the green background. And then we do what's called key ourselves out so that instead of seeing the green, you see all of the different things that are around us. Any questions about that? Well, if there are, please put them in the comments and Sal will let me know what they are. Now I'm going to show you about graphics. And the question mark is a graphic. This YouTube logo behind us is a graphic. This in front of the YouTube logo is text. This is called a lower third. And this is also text. So a lot of these things you've seen with all of the editing in the last couple of weeks, and now this is putting it all together for you so that you can see how it gets layered and how it works. So that's what the video looked like, and now this is what it looks like broken down. And you can see that the question mark graphic, when it's here,
I'm sorry.
What happened?
This hair is bothering me.
Oh, thank you. You can see the graphic. Here's the question mark all the way. Here's our timeline, right? Here's the timeline. Sal and I are not even on the timeline. So your A-roll, because we're the A-roll, doesn't even have to be on the timeline. You can put it anywhere you want, literally. Generally speaking, you should have it on the timeline, but no, it's not the timeline this way. So here's our timeline. Here we are. Here's text, and then here's the graphic. So what that means to you is that as you layer up above the timeline, what you see is the top of the timeline is the closest thing to you. And the closest thing to you in the video, even though you don't realize it, is the question mark. That's the closest thing. Okay. So this is a close-up to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to try the pointer again, see if that works. Okay. I think you can see that. So here's the question mark. This is text. Below the question mark, the purple's text. Here's the A roll. That's Sal and me. Hey, thanks for the likes. We love those likes. And this is the lower third right here. Here's another graphic. And then look, there's even something below the timeline in white, right? So I'm showing you this is how everything gets layered in your editing. So the lower third text is what you see over Sal and my legs. That is the lower third. And the reason it's called lower third is because in your video, here's the top third, here's the middle third, and that's the lower third of your video. Remember, whenever you make a video, you want to try to keep things in the rule of thirds, because the rule of thirds is so much more pleasing to the eye. And the rule of thirds is cutting your frame literally into thirds. 1, 2, 3. So if I am right in the middle, I'm in the center third, and there's a third on either side of me. With a lower third, it's totally the lower third of your video. And that you can see right here on the timeline is text that I've pulled in as lower third text over our legs. Any questions about any of this? Please put it in there. Okay. So this is showing you close up what I mean by lower third. And here it is, right? So it's on top of the A roll because we want it to go across the front of us, not behind us, but across the front of us. So remember, as you layer things above your timeline, the top layer is what you see closest to you. And as you go down, that's what you see. And the things that are below are what are behind or not heard. So things below the timeline, that's your music, that's your voiceover, that's your sound effects, things like that. Okay. Keep going. So now I'm showing you what the A roll is. So here Sal and I are the A roll. And we are the main focus of the video. That makes us the A roll. And everything that happens around us, above and below and behind us, is what enhances the video, what makes it more interesting for the viewer. So instead of just Sal and I sitting in front of a green screen and just talking to you, we have graphics, we have text, we have things, you know, animation, things that move, some of the text moves. So you want to think about how can you make it more interesting. So this is what it looked like before it was keyed out. And keying is the term, that's the film term, that's used for taking out the background. And when you key something, it doesn't have to be a green screen behind you. It can also be a blue screen. And some people even use white screens. That's a lot trickier, so I would not recommend that. But
We
yes.
have a phrase in the business, keying is believing. It's true.
Sal said the phrase in the business is keying is believing. It's a good one, honey. Okay, so this is just showing you basically, and I'm sorry you can't see this very well, but this is where all of the information about the video is. And right here, it says keying. And that's the effect that we're putting on top of the video of Salome. Okay.
Wow.
So that's what it looks like after we've been keyed out. And as you can see, there we are. There we are, and here we are. And all of the layers above us are what are creating this whole thing. Now, do you see the white on the bottom? That is the background behind us, because without that, it would just be black. It's just black behind us. So this is what it shows. This is how it is close up. So here's our graphic question mark. Here's our lower third. Here's our A-roll, Sal and me, and then keyed out. And then below that is text that you see behind us. Below that on the timeline is the YouTube logo graphic. And below that is a white generator. I don't know why the slides are being so slow. So see the white text behind us? That's what I just showed you in the background. And that white text is right here. The Ask Me Anything About YouTube text is right here below the A-roll video. And that's why it is behind us. If I had put it on top, that text would have been directly across the front of us. So that's how you do that kind of layering. That's that tricky, cool, secret thing that people do in videos to make it extra interesting. And this is what it looks like close up. So there's the Ask Me Anything text below the keyed video of Sal and me, but on top of the graphic. So if it had been below the graphic, you wouldn't see it at all. If it had been above Sal and me, it would have been directly across the front of us. Okay. So I'm just showing you the YouTube graphic behind us, and then I'm showing it to you on the timeline. Sorry, this is taking so long. And there it is on the timeline in detail. And the white behind us, that is called a generator. So when you look at different kinds of titles and effects and transitions and generators, which we covered last week, and there is the videos up on the YouTube Bootcamp channel. When you look at all of that, these are the ways that you use all of these different things. And that white is what's called a generator. And when you drag it down into below the timeline, it comes in what's called smoky white, but it has a drop down with about 10 different whites that we could have used. We're using bright white, but there's smoky white, and there's mint white, and there's antique white, and there's vanilla white. There's all these different whites that we could have used, but we're using bright white. And there it is. There's the white on the very bottom below the timeline. So what I'm looking down at is my phone that's supposed to be advancing the slides. I don't know, it's very slow.
David said, while we're on this, can I ask a green screen question?
Of course.
No, he cannot.
What's your green screen question, David? Of course, that's what this is all about.
I type no.
Ignore Sal's typing. Go ahead and ask your question, and I'll answer it when Sal tells me what it is. So this is what it looks like without that white generator. You can see that the background is totally black. That is not the look that we wanted for our video. So that's why we use the generator below. This is what we look like not keyed out. So this is before we are keyed out. It's us in front of a green screen. And as you can see, that green screen is very evenly lit. When we're doing that, we have lights that shine behind us and light up the green screen so that it's super evenly lit. Because when you have a wrinkle, when you have a curve, if you have any shadowing whatsoever, it is the biggest pain in the butt to key that out. So eliminate wrinkles, shadows, everything you can, evenly lighted all the way across behind you. And then when you key it out, it looks perfect. And that's the goal, is for you to be able to key it out and for it to look perfect.
Okay, here's the question.
Okay, I'm ready for the question.
I've been having trouble recently with getting a balance to where I don't have a weird area over my shoulders, which is not green, they're gray. That's picking up the background.
That's because the reason you would have a gray shadow, David, behind you is because your background is not evenly lit. What was the rest of the question? Is there lighting some way of working around that? Yes.
Is that a lighting thing
Yes.
somewhere?
So your background is so important. Oh, it looks blotchy. Yes. So your lighting, you need to have lighting that will come in behind you from two different directions at your background. So the background for green screen needs to be completely lit, evenly lit. So you don't want just one light coming in. Like you can do one light on yourself, because when you light yourself with a green screen, so here are you, the person that's being keyed eventually. So you're the A-roll and you're the one talking, and behind you, you have a green screen. You want to be a minimum 5 feet away from it. If you are closer than that, you're really going to have a difficult time keying that out at all. Ideally, you want to be 10 feet away from your background. That's ideal. And the reason for that is because as you get closer, do you see the shadow behind me already? As you get close, and I'm right here, I'm about 5 feet away. So we didn't evenly light this because we're not keying it, so it doesn't really matter. But as I get closer, see how much darker? It's like, it's so dark behind me. So ideally, when you're doing a green screen, sit as far away from it as you can. 10 feet is perfect, 5 feet at a minimum, and then evenly light your background on both sides. Make sure that you don't have any shadows at all. Make sure you don't have wrinkles. Make sure everything is perfectly flat and evenly lit.
4 lights, the same, 2 on the background and 2 on in.
Okay, so what should your lighting look like when you're doing a green screen? You should have 2 lights that light up your background, so your background is completely evenly lit. You should, ideally, you should have 2 more lights coming at you at 45-degree angles. So one would be coming from this side, one would be coming from this side to light you up, and then your front light. So you got 5 lights here. So literally right now around me, we have a ring of lights around me. I don't have a ring light, but I have a ring of lights. I've got 4 lights that are coming at me. One is coming at me at a 45. On this side, it's actually literally lighting up the wall in front of me. And then I've got 2 lights coming at me at like 20-degree angles that are lighting up both sides of my face. So we have 4 lights here. And then on the back, because this is not keying, we just have regular freestanding lights that are lighting up the back. And I don't want it too heavily lit because I want you to be able to see from the projector what we're projecting. So any other questions about green screens or lighting or keying or any of that stuff?
Hey, Tom's here.
Hey, hi Tom, welcome. So glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Okay, any questions, just put them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them. So what is the inspector? The inspector is next to your viewer. And the inspector, which is to the side of your viewer in your editing software, is where you are able to almost do everything that has to do with your video. You can scale things up and down. You can add, when you put your text in, you can change the font, you can change the size, you can make it from opaque to transparent. If you've keyed something, this is where all your controls for the keying are. If you have a transition, this is where you change everything that has to do with your transition. If you have audio, your audio, you have an audio setting there. This is where you can change all your audio. If you decide you want to change the color and you want to do a different color, or you want to improve the color, then when you click on your color board will come up in the inspector. So your inspector is so important in editing because it's the place where you will find all of the things that you've brought into your video, and this is where you work on them. That is where you work on them, in your inspector. Okay. So I'm showing you again. Here is our opening. Here is our 2-second intro, which we've made into a video. And now I also have what I've pulled down, and I use Final Cut Pro 10 because I have a Mac and I love Final Cut Pro 10. I have also pulled down what's called a placeholder. And actually I just use it because I put things on top of it. So this is where I've put text on top of that. And literally I was just showing you how I made that little video. We'll keep going. So tip number 1, keep your intro and your outro short. By short, I would say 5 seconds to 20 seconds is good for an intro outro. Include a call to action in your outro. So here's your opportunity. Now, when I first said that we're going to be talking about branding and marketing with intros and outros and end screens, this is one of the things that I mean. You are marketing right in your video. And how are you marketing? You're marketing by you're telling people something. You're either telling them, in this video, I just showed you these fantastic paints that I'm using, these brand new paints, and you're going to love using them too. And in the links in the description below this video, click those links and go and look at the paints yourself. And maybe you want to buy them for your next painting or something like that. So there's a call to action, right? Maybe you talked about, I'm going to just use, let's see, David's book. So David wrote a journal. And the journal is available for everyone to buy, right? So in David's video, at the end of the video, David says, I've just told you all about how to do journaling. And the reason it's so important is because it helps you with mind meditation, and it helps you focus, and it helps you with clarity, and it helps you with gratitude. And if you want that for yourself, which I'm sure you do, in the link below, click the link below in the description, and that will take you right to where you can purchase this journal yourself. So do a call to action, tell people what to do, because they're not going to be thinking of that themselves. So always a call to action in your outro. Stay on brand. What do I mean by that? Color, music, logo. This is all branding. Everything that has to do with who your business is, right? Visually. What does your business look like visually? What are the colors of your business? So for YouTube Bootcamp, black, red, yellow, and white. Those are our colors. So we try to stay on brand with that. Lately, I've been going a little crazy with color on our thumbnails and going off brand, right? I shouldn't have done that. So I'm pulling back, I'm redoing the thumbnails, I'm going back on brand. And the same thing is with your intro and your outro. You want to stay on brand, because the more you layer your branding in your videos, in your thumbnails, in your YouTube banner header on your channel, in all of your social media, in all of your marketing materials, everything that you do, you want to layer your branding, because the more people see the same thing over and over again, the more they're going to recognize it. The faster it'll be for them to say, oh, I know, that's YouTube Bootcamp, because I recognize the colors, I recognize the logo, I recognize the music, whatever it is, start to remember. Thank you guys for giving me those likes. I really appreciate it. So you start to remember all of this stuff. The other thing to do is use animation. And that can be as simple as just an animated title, an animated logo, an animated, the name of your business, the name of your channel, whatever it is, just bringing it in and bringing it out, or having it swirl, or do something that makes it exciting. A voice-over tagline. And what I mean by that is you can have your intro, outro, and then while it's playing, you can voice over, and that can be a part of it, saying, YouTube Bootcamp, intense training, real results. So there's the tagline, intense training, real results. And that's just a voiceover to confirm and reaffirm and try to embed in people's brains branding, the branding of your business. Any questions about that? So any questions about intros? Any questions about outros? Thank you for the like, I appreciate it. Any questions about outros? Please, now is the time to let me know what they are. So here is another example. So this opening to the video is 9 seconds and then the intro.
Ask me anything about YouTube. I'm Sheri Barbera.
I'm Sheri Barbera.
And today we're going to be talking about, can I make money on YouTube right now?
Okay, so again, short and sweet, an opening and an intro, and that's the intro. Now, we come to Sam. This is Sam's opening, this is Sam's opening to his trailer video on his channel. So if you're not familiar with Arizona Living, it's AZ Living YouTube channel on YouTube. And I will have a link to it in the description below this video after this video is posted. And you can go and look at Sam's channel, which is fantastic, and look at his videos. But he has an excellent intro. I love it. It's so much fun. It's really his personality. And I'm excited for you to see it. Oh, heck. Sorry.
Welcome to another edition of Arizona Living. Today, we're going to debut our new channel trailer. Stay tuned.
So that was it. Wasn't that awesome? That's the whole intro. And it was only 7 seconds, 7 and 28 of a second, 7 seconds. So literally almost 7.5 seconds. And that's all it was, the whole intro. But wasn't it fantastic? Didn't it give you the feeling of like, okay, so this guy came from New York, ended up in Arizona, and who knows what's going to happen, right? So that's why I love this intro. It's fun. It's got animation. It's exciting. I never tire of looking at it, which that's a really good thing because you don't want people to get tired of looking at your intro. That would be terrible, right? So this is a very exciting and fun intro. I love it. Okay, the next one we're going to do is from Jarrett New, Vinyl Eyes, and Jarrett was one of our masterminds, and he has in every one of his videos an intro, an outro, and his intro is 7 seconds.
Today's video is brought to you by
This is the opening.
Moon. Vinyl Moon is the all-in-one deluxe vinyl discovery. Every month they press awesome music on beautiful colored records and send them right to your door. Join today with discount code VINYLIZE to get 10% off. All right, now today we're talking about the most famous band of all time, the Beatles.
This is very interesting. This is the intro. Good music. So that entire opening was 23.5 seconds. That's all it was. But what made it so smart was that Jarrett's sponsor, Vinyl Moon, he opened by talking about his sponsor. But what did he do about that made it so incredibly cool was that he showed records. Well, that's what his entire channel is about. It's about music. It's about vinyl. It's about tapes. It's about everything that has to do with music. So even though he opens by doing an advertisement, right, for his sponsor who is supporting him, very, very smart, it's still all on brand. It still doesn't make you feel like, oh man, I don't want to look at this, right? And then after he does his sponsor ad, he does an opening. And his opening is, we're going to be talking about the most important band of all time, the Beatles. And then right into his intro, which very short, right? But his intro was a whole montage of things about his channel. Super cool. Last week and the week before, we talked about effects and transitions. And I wanted to point out to you that this was the only way that I could literally show you how that happened, but there was a wipe across the screen that went from the sponsor into Jarrett's opening. And that's a fantastic way for you in your videos to transition from one thing to the next, from your opening to your intro. So from sponsor ad to opening to intro is what he did. So he used the wipe effect right across the screen to go from his sponsor ad to his intro. Then he did a jump cut. And what I mean by that is on the left side of the screen, he was talking about the Beatles. That was his opening because the video is all about the Beatles. So here he's talking about the Beatles and there is no transition. There's no wipe or anything. It literally jumps right from that right to his intro. And you know it's the intro because he has the clapboard there. And on the clapboard, he says what that video is going to be about. And on there, it says the Beatles. So that's the beginning of his intro. Fantastic. Now you get to the intro. And if you look, the intro, which I know that happened really quickly, but he had his record spinning in the intro. And behind the record, he had images in 4 quadrants of different things that he shows on his videos. So it is like a mini trailer. That's really what it is. And that's what you want to think about. You want to think about doing these mini trailers as your intro, outro. Very, very smart the way he does that. So the other thing that he does is at the end of his intro, he does a fade out. Literally fades right out of the intro to the actual content of the video. So when I was talking to you about fade ins and fade outs, and I said a fade in generally brings you into a film, right? Brings you into a video, but at least in movie making, you fade in, that's always the beginning of a movie. And at the end of the movie, you fade out. Well, Jarrett's taken that and put his own YouTuber twist on it by fading out into the actual content of the video. So very smart, very clever. And I did ask him, so how did you do this? And what he said to me was he made his intro himself in Final Cut, which is what I'm using, Final Cut Pro 10. And a friend of his made the vinylized logo in Photoshop, and that's, you know, the record with vinyl eyes on it. And then he animated it in Final Cut by doing what's called frame by frame keyframing. And this is very sophisticated editing. You literally move your image a tiny bit and you put what's called a little keyframe on it. And then you move it again and you keyframe it, and you move it again and you keyframe it, and you move it again and you keyframe it. And this is how, when you see it, it literally animates it. And it's just a graphic, a plain solid graphic, not doing anything. And you can literally animate things right in your editing program. So cool. So then for the outro, he found stock footage of a vinyl record with grooves spinning, and then he layered text over that shot. And the final thing that he wanted you to know was that when you look at that layered text that's over the grooves of the record, all you see is the text. But he didn't do that in Final Cut by pulling text down and putting it over it. What he did was in Photoshop, and you can do this in Canva for free if you don't have Photoshop. In Photoshop, he made what's called a PNG file, a PNG file. And the reason he made a PNG file as opposed to a JPEG or a GIF or anything like that is because a PNG file allows the background to be completely transparent. So he put the text in, he put it over a transparent background, exported it as a PNG file, brought it into his video, and put it over the grooves of the record. And it was completely transparent, and all you saw was the text over the grooves. You can do the same thing by just layering text. Okay. So now I'm going to show you all three of those intros so that you can see for yourself how they flow. So those are three different takes on an intro. So now I would love for you, when this video is over, I would love for you to go on YouTube and just start looking at what do people use for their intro. Get inspired. Go look at your favorite YouTubers. What do they do? You know, how long is it? Look at what they do. What do they use? Do they use animation? What kind of graphics do they use? What kind of text do they use? Do they say something? What does their music sound like? These are the kinds of things that you are going to learn from. So great idea to go and look at that.
Hello and welcome to
Now these are openings.
YouTube. I'm Sheri Barbera.
I'm Sheri Barbera.
And today we're going to be talking about can I make money on YouTube right now?
So that was our opening. This is going to be Sam.
Arizona Living. Today, we're going to debut our new channel trailer. Stay tuned.
Love that.
Today's video is brought to you by Vinyl Moon. Vinyl Moon is the all-in-one deluxe vinyl discovery. Every month they press awesome music on beautiful colored records and send them right to your door. Join today with discount code VINYLIZE to get 10% off. All right, now today we're talking about the most famous band of all time, the Beatles.
So that was Jarrett's opening, and then it would go to his intro. Now these are outros.
Well, I'm Sheri Barbera.
I'm Sal Barbera.
This is the YouTube Bootcamp. Ask me anything about YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.
And you're going to see it.
Thanks for joining me.
Bye.
That says video marketing branding. You can't really see that. Okay, this is Sam, Arizona Living.
Deleted his comment. That's a win. Whether you already live in Arizona or are considering relocating to the Valley of the Sun, this channel is for you. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss learning anything about Arizona. Till next time.
I love that, Sam.
So you could say they've made their mark on the world. Now there's a ton of other stuff I didn't talk about in this video because it would have been 4 hours long and maybe 3 people would watch it. But hopefully now we at least know a little bit more about this incredible band and the impact that they've had on our modern music.
Okay, so that was fantastic. That was Jarrett wrapping it up and talking about why the Beatles were so great. And then it's going to go into his outro. It's going to go right into his outro. So any questions on openings and intros or closing and outros? Anything at all? Okay, online resources for you. Any editing program, you can make any of this stuff in any editing program. You really can. So you make your little intro, export it as a video, and then bring it back in to every video that you make and use it in every single video for branding and marketing. Tube Arsenal, that is an online company. You don't have to download anything. You just use their software online. You make your intro or your outro right there on their site, and the cost is like $9 to $13. Biteable, that's another one where you pay like, I don't know, like $15 or $20 a month, and you can make an intro or an outro. Render Forest, that's another one for you to use. Video Blocks. So all of these are online software that you can just go right to there, make your own intro, outro, and use it now, right away. You can always change it. You know, I do highly recommend that you stay consistent and use the same thing over and over. Now, Sam did something really smart with his intro. His intro is unlike anybody else's, and that's the same with Jarrett. You will never see their intro anywhere because it's not on any of these sites. These sites use templates, right? So you can change them up, you can change the colors and things like that, but it's not the same as having something completely unique and branded. So what Jarrett did was he made his own, and he made it in Final Cut and Photoshop. What Sam did was he knew exactly what he wanted. So he specifically wrote down every single thing that he wanted and hired someone on Fiverr, Fiverr, hired someone to make it for him. And that was so smart because it's awesome, right? So if you can't do it yourself, if you don't have the talents of a Jarrett, but you have the smarts of a Sam to have it still made something fabulous like Jarrett did, go to some place like Fiverr and have somebody else make it for you. Okay, any questions?
A little note there. Look at David's note.
She could go to one of the live classes. Oh, Lily, of course I would love for you to come. So David's daughter, Lily, has been watching this. Thank you, Lily. I love that. And she'd like to know if when we finally are meeting live, if she could come. I would love for you to come, Lily. Please do. And introduce yourself to Sal and me. We would love for you to come. So how to create an incredible YouTube channel outro. Well, if you don't want to do it yourself and you want to do it online and you want to use a template, go to Tube Arsenal. They call them custom intros for you, but keep in mind that it is a template and anybody else could use this. So it's not totally custom, right? It's a template that anyone can take, use their own colors on, but it's not exactly the same. This is what it looks like when you get into it. So they do give you a lot of tools to try to change things, but still not the same as, you know, hiring someone or doing it yourself. Okay. And then you could see that I did play around with it. I changed the color from purple to gold and, you know, just to see what would happen. And it's good. It's good. Now, Tube Arsenal also does end screens, and end screens, which we will be coming to pretty soon because I'm on my 80th slide of a little over 100. End screens are something that you can also get online without having to do this yourself. And this is what an end screen looks like on Tube Arsenal. And you can see that you can also do a ton of things to customize it, but keep in mind, like I said, anybody can use these templates, right? So you might go to a video, it's probably unlikely, but you might go to a video and see the exact same end screen. And that's why, because these are templates that are there for anybody to buy. Same with Biteable. So same kind of thing. You can make an intro or an outro on Biteable. There's what they cost. Start at $15 a month. And another company, Video Blocks. So there's a lot of things, they call it Video Blocks, but also Story Blocks. A lot of things that you can do that are what they call custom. And this is their pricing. So all of them are very reasonable. There's no excuse, none whatsoever, for you not to have a cool intro, outro. Okay, Sal's got his hand up. Yes, honey.
David says YouTube has made the templates they have built in pretty easy to use now.
Okay, David, you have to explain that a little more because YouTube allows you to do an end screen, right? But it's not a template in the sense that you have something behind you. They only do templates in the sense that they have layouts available for you to just stick right onto your own end screen. For end screens, right? Okay, we're going to get to that. All right, so any questions on the online resources, put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Here we are at end screens, yay. Okay, so what is an end screen? Literally on YouTube, as David just pointed out, an end screen can be added to any video. Now, to do this the smart way, an end screen is 20 seconds. That's how long YouTube gives you for an end screen at the end of your video. I highly suggest that you either continue your video right into the end screen, shrink yourself down, make you a part of the end screen, or you use a different part, or you do a behind the scenes or something so that people actually will go to the end screen and look at it. End screens are so important for marketing and branding because that's the place where you are going to be able to get the viewer to watch something else. And remember that when someone's watching your video, what's happening? Well, right here, YouTube is suggesting a whole bunch of other videos, right? So they're watching your video, but on the side here are all these other videos that are saying, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, right? You don't want that to happen unless those are your videos. And that is possible when you have a lot of videos, that one of those suggested videos, or more than one, maybe multiple videos on the suggested side, will be your videos. But they will also be videos of people that person has watched before. They will also be videos of someone else that this person, this viewer, has never seen, but of the same kind of content. How do you keep people watching your stuff? Well, the first and smartest way to do that is to create a playlist of content that you want people to watch consecutively, right? So you want to create bingeable content with playlists. And what happens is you get to the end of your video, the viewer gets to the end of your video, and even though all these suggested things are happening, the very next video that comes up is the next video on your playlist. Now, what does an end screen do? Well, an end screen allows you in YouTube Studio, you upload your video. This is where you input all of the information in YouTube Studio. And now, once your video is completely uploaded and recoded, because now no matter what you're shooting your video in, including 4K, because there are so many people on YouTube right now, they're degrading all of the videos down to 720p, I think, 720p. So it really doesn't matter what your video is uploaded at anymore. They're going to re-encode it. So you uploaded, encoded, and compressed and everything for like 1080 or 4K. They're going to recompress that down to 720p. Once that is done, you will be able to add an end screen. And in YouTube Studio right here, it says end screen, and there's a tiny little pencil. You click the pencil. Every time there's a pencil, that indicates that you can edit. And that's exactly what you want to do. So when you're given an opportunity by YouTube to add something more, take it, because YouTube does this for a reason. And in this case, the reason is marketing and branding, right? Keep people on your site. So you are now capable of adding additional videos on this end screen. Well, let me show that to you. So now you click on that so you can add it. It takes you to your video. So here's the video you just uploaded. And now over here, it says add element. And you can add up to 3 elements on any of your videos. What's an element? Well, an element is, number 1, a subscribe button. Number 2, a video. Number 3, a video playlist. Number 4, another channel, someone else's channel. And then when you have, oh, this is so sad. When you have 10,000 subscribers, you can also add a link to either your website or merchandise or something like that, but you can't do that until you can't do that until you have a lot of subscribers. So let's just look at what you actually can do. What you can do is You can add, see that blue line that says subscribe button. You can add that. You can add a video, and in this case, it's the video that's best for viewer. And then you can add a playlist, or you could have added another video. You know, it could have been your most recent video. It gives you all of these options. So the other thing you can do is it always starts at the last 20 seconds of your video. So what do you do? Well, what we do is we add what's called an end screen graphic. The end screen graphic can be either literally a graphic like a illustration, or it can be a photograph, or it can be a drawing, or whatever it is. It's just a simple graphic, or it can be a video. And the video, literally, you can make your own, and you can make an end screen so easily. You can do it yourself. You can do it in Canva. You can do it in Snappa. It's called Snappa, Snappa, online for free, just like Canva. Or you can make it in your editing software program, and you just put boxes in. So you make your own end screen. And what YouTube does is YouTube gives you templates. David's right. They give you these templates of elements. And you can say, oh, well, I want a subscribe button and I want a video, or, oh, I want 2 videos and a subscribe button. And, oh, I want them over here, or I want them here, or I want them up here, or I want them down here. And you can just click on the element template and it pops right on to your video. And that's what these are. So this is this round thing right here is the subscribe button. And the rectangles are whatever your videos are going to be. And you can move them around. Even if you use a template, you can still move them around. And what I'm showing you here is that this one says video best for viewer. And if you look over here where it says add element, add video, add playlist, this is where you select that. Okay, so I'm going to go back a second. And the reason I'm doing that is because I also wanted to show you that even though an end screen is 20 seconds, do you see this playhead right here? It's this long bar right there. You do not have to use those 20 seconds. You can drag any of these elements down anywhere in that 20 seconds and make it 17 seconds or 10 seconds or 5 seconds. So you don't have to use the whole 20 seconds. You are in control of this, even so that YouTube put it up there. You are still in control of it. So take control of it. If you don't want the whole 20 seconds, you don't have to use it. Now, what we do is we add ourselves into the end screens always. And it could be just a continuation of the closing, and I continue it right into the end screen. And what I do is I cut it right there at the closing, and then I shrink us down and I stick us right into the end screen. So we are still closing as the end screen comes up, but now there's a subscribe button, and now there's another video that you can click on. And the reason for the end screens are so that your viewer can subscribe to your channel, watch another video, watch a playlist, click a link to, maybe you have 2 channels, click a link to another one of your channels, or if you have a lot of subscribers, click a link that'll take you to merchandise you're selling or something like that. So many, many YouTubers are using end screens so smartly. They're using them to sell products. They're using them to sell services, not just to show videos. They're using them to do a lot more than that. So go and look at the top YouTubers. Go to the end of their videos. Look at their end screens. Learn from them. See what they're doing, because there are so many ways that you can use this. It's amazing. The other thing that end screens do is they build watch time. And watch time is so vitally important for YouTubers. And the reason for that is if you want to become a YouTube partner, Everybody wants to become a YouTube partner. The only way to become a YouTube partner is to join the YouTube Partner Program. Well, how do you do that? Well, all of you know. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Watch hours are not the same as views. A view can be 36 seconds. That's a view. So let's say your video is 10 minutes, but somebody only watches it for 36 seconds. That's not watch time, that's a view, right? So they watch for 36 seconds, click away and go to a different video. That's a view. That is not giving you those 4,000 hours that you need of watch time. So end screens help you build your watch time by giving a viewer something else to watch. So very, very smart. The other thing they do is they build viewer retention. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that, so there's all these little videos on the side of your video that they're watching. They could choose one of those, but they also could click away from YouTube itself. And YouTube never wants anyone to click away from their platform, because how can they sell ads if you're not just there, looking at videos and selecting next videos and stuff. So for YouTube, viewer retention and watch time, these are two things that are huge for YouTube, and they should be huge for you as well, because if it matters to YouTube, it matters to you as a YouTuber. Online resources for end screens, Snappa. So Snappa has templates, and these are templates that you can literally use on Snappa. And when I said that you could add videos, this is where you put them. So you just place the videos. When you're in YouTube Studio and you click on end screen and you go to end screen and you add an element, the element that you're adding is a video. And you drag the video right over these boxes. So Snappa has already made them the exact correct size for the videos to go on. Sal, has someone asked a question? Yes.
Dale asked, to promote my artwork based on what was in the video, is the end screen a good place to do it?
So Dale asked, for me to promote my artwork at the end of my video, is an end screen a good place to do it? I think I froze.
You're okay.
I think I froze. I'm sorry. That was pretty horrible looking. Yes, you can definitely do this. You can either continue talking and you talk about the artwork that you're selling, and then shrink yourself. Frozen. I keep getting frozen. That's because so many people are using YouTube right now. So my apologies for freezing. Put yourself in one of these and then only choose one. Sorry. Wow.
Dale said suspense.
It's really catching me at weird, I make weird faces. Sorry, guys. So yes, put yourself in one of those boxes. Shrink yourself down in your editing program. Put yourself in one of the boxes. And yeah, tell in the description below that, yes, this is available, and how you can purchase it and where you can purchase it. Include the links in the description, because that's where the hot links are. Okay, so then the next question.
One more question. You have to do this go through this process every time you post a video.
So Rich wants to know, do you have to go through this process every time you post a video? Yes, you actually, every time you post a video. And not the intro outro, because the intro outro is something that you do in the editing process of your video, but the end screen is, you can only do that on when you've uploaded your video. Aspect of using YouTube that you have to just build right into the process of you making videos. Once you upload your video and you're entering all of the information in, then after the video is processed, you will be able to click on the end screen element with that little pencil for editing. So click the end screen element. You can make a template. You can make an end screen template that is the exact same shape as one of YouTube's templates, YouTube's element templates, and it won't take any time at all. And then you can just say, I want it to be a playlist, I want it to be a video, I want it to be a subscriber button, and it's always the same, and that's much faster. But yes, I'm sorry, I keep freezing. You can see that in an end screen, you can put like and subscribe and things like that in your end screen. Use relevant call to actions. And what I mean by relevant is don't use a call to action that has literally nothing to do with caught me at a horrible place. If you use a call to action, just make sure that it has something to do with your video. Here's another example, and you can see this is a perfect place to put a subscribe button and then check out these 2 cool videos. If you always use this template as your end screen at the end of your video element templates, because you'll just pop them in and they'll always go in the same places and it'll be super simple. So what's the tip? The tip is be consistent because it adds credibility. It's very professional. It brands faster for you. So you always want to think in terms of how can I improve my speed with editing, because editing takes a lot of time. So this is one way. Okay, any questions on end screen? Timeline and whatever tracks are going on your timeline. Your playhead bar. So that was the first time I showed you. Oh my gosh, I showed you the playhead bar. And for those of you who are brand new and don't know really how to set up your channel or how to make money using YouTube and videos and things like that, take the masterclass. I'm offering you a 90% discount. Use the code 90. Click the link below in the description and take the class because it will really help you. And for those of you that I talked last week to, thank you for showing up again. I told you that we are starting a new business. It has everything to do with marketing your product. And the reason it looks like this is because it is to symbolize how small business people are superheroes. And that is literally a superhero emblem shield that we're going to be putting on t-shirts and things like that. So we will have our membership coming up pretty soon. Hopefully within the next week, it'll be launching, and the information on that will be in the newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, this is the link to sign up for the newsletter. Please sign up for the newsletter. We'll be talking about the membership and everything about that in the newsletter, but also all about YouTube and social media and branding, video and strategy. So I'm Sheri Barbera. This is YouTube Bootcamp, and questions. So
Great class, that's a good idea. Please include the items used to project on your wall and manipulate the slides from your phone in your description. That's Sheila.
thank you, Sheila. Okay, I will do that. And if you have any additional comments or suggestions or anything like that, please be sure to put them in the comments below this video once it posts. It's going to be posting later, not too much later, but later tonight. And then if there's anything else you want to know about editing, probably speaking more about marketing and growing your business and making money on YouTube than I do about editing. So let me know if there's anything else that you really, really, really want to know about editing. Thank you guys so much for coming. We're going to do a quick group shot. Mom?
I heard.
I don't know. I don't know if Mom's still awake. Mom? Come in. Okay, so we're going to do a quick group shot. Thank you guys so much for coming. Here we go. Okay. Thank you. Miss you guys.
I can't get my foot up that high.
Thanks for coming, guys. Have a fantastic night.
Bye.
See you in the next video. Ciao.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.